what I believe is there are Steve Jobs who are going to be created in Africa. One thing that I know as an expert is AI has come to level the whole field of AI, of computing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to have new Steve Jobs coming out from Africa. And I think it's a high time that innovation needs to come from this side. Because if you look at the side of supercomputer around the world, in the Western world, it looks like they've run out of new ideas. So we believe that the new ideas of systems of AI, they have to look at side of the culture.
This is Austin Makani with What Matters podcast, and I'm delighted to talk about the future of ICT in Tanzania. And there's no better person to talk about the future of ICT in Tanzania other than with Dr. Mosaga. Doctor, it's truly a privilege and an honor to have this session with you.
It's an honor to be invited to your podcast, and I'm feeling very privileged to be here so that we can be able to discuss and the same things that has to do with ICT.
Let's see what matters. Doctor, maybe to start before we get into the nitty-gritties, there's a phrase that I really like of some guy, I think there's a name if I'm to find it, that says every time I wake up and I do not see my name in the top 40 list of the richest men in the world, I get up and go to work.
Okay.
What keeps you going, doctor? What gives you the adrenaline to get off the bed in the morning and say, yes, it's another day, I'm going to win this day?
I strongly believe that this world is a better place for people to live. Whenever I look at the number of youth that we have, for example, in Tanzania, the youth of the age between 15 and 34 is 21 million. Tanzania youth is a great opportunity for our country. So what moves me is the challenge that's in front of me to give them skills. And the skills which are needed for youth is digital skills, because that's where the most of the opportunities are right now.
Okay.
So I normally work hard to make sure that we create a conducive environment so that youth will be able to innovate and do digital entrepreneurship.
You've spoken about opportunities. We are going to explore about opportunities, but let's just start on a low tone, Dr. Mosaga. And maybe a little bit of your background, and if it has anything to do with what you are, as elegant as you are, as, you know, every time I have an engagement with you, Doctor, it's really, you know, a very meaningful engagement. So tell us a little bit about your background, and if, again, had anything to do with how you're shaped today.
Well, born in Dar es Salaam, all my education was in Dar es Salaam. I liked so much mathematics. I studied computer from degree level up to PhD level. Started to interact with computer when I was in Form 5. Basically, we didn't have computer, but I was visiting some offices that they have. I fell in love with it, and I studied all part of the hardware of computer up till now. And I feel so privileged that I've been able to get a chance to work in this great institution that they have a very good mission for our country.
You've done computers all your life, Doctor. Is this the reason why you got so into the field that you currently serve as the Director General of Core ICT?
Well, like I said before, it's basically a privilege to me, and I feel like getting this chance is good because I spent 17 years in academia where I used to teach subject that I have to do with computer. So when I was in academia, as everyone knows, in any well-functioning country, there is a triple helix that we normally look as a model on how things are supposed to be. So I was in academia. In one of the apex, there is a government, and another apex is a business area. So when I was in academia, we deal with a lot of theory. We create ability to students so that they can be able to provide the services in the government and the business. So I feel like after spending 17 years, it's a high time that now I have to be in the government to work in a policy level and implementing policy to ensure that things are working very fine, especially in the private sector.
Bill Gates is one of the gurus in your field, Dr. Mosaga, and one of his statements he says, if you love what you do, money will follow you, and probably you would not feel the pinch of what you do. Tell me, do you feel you're best positioned currently with what you do?
That's very correct. Because, there's a one time I used to talk with one of the person I really respect, Dr. Mihaela Smith, and she was saying that in everything that you do, passion is everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really passionate in what I'm doing, and I feel like this is my area where I can bring change to the society. Because to me, I strongly believe that everyone has to do something good for the society or for the world entirely.
Okay, Doctor. Fair enough. So how is your day like? How is your typical day like at work as the Director General?
I'm so privileged in this institution to have staff who are really helping me out to achieve the goals that we have been set aside for this institution. One thing that I normally tell them that this institution is a startup institution. It's a startup government institution. So we operate ourselves as a startup. It started in 2015.
Oh, okay.
We have this great work to do, especially to promote ICT in our country. So we work so hard, mainly to ensure that startups are growing and startups are able to provide solutions that we're able to get the market of Tanzania and also to make Tanzania competitive in a global economy. And we have started to be achieving that. The culture has started to build up. And like I say, that I'm almost every day happy that there's something that we are providing to our people.
Excellent. And what, Dr. Mosaga, in your personal opinion, would you rate Tanzania in terms of its achievement in the ICT? Are we faring pretty well? Are we, again, as a country at a startup level, as the commission, or where would you rank Tanzania in the status of ICT?
Well, there are a lot of people in Tanzania that perhaps they hear a lot of negative things. But in actual fact, when you look at the rankings of the world, not the ranking of Tanzanians, but how people are ranking us, when it comes to startup ecosystem and development and startup in Africa, we are among the 8 best countries in Africa, among 54 countries. When it comes to cyber security, which is one pillar of digital transformation of any country, we are number 2 in Africa. When it comes to fiber to home connectivity, we are number 1 in Africa, and we are among 16 best countries in the world. So Tanzania is doing fine, and we have a very good digital framework agenda in front of us. We are so determined to make sure that we become even better and better. One thing that you can measure in any country, especially in ICT, is when you start to see bigger companies coming to your economy. And we've seen a telecommunication company, there's a new companies coming in Tanzania. We have a lot of requests for people to build data center in our country. And don't forget that we have 21 million youth in Tanzania. That 21 million is a big market for anyone to be able to open a market in Tanzania. There are a lot of exciting things which are coming in this year through the ICT Commission. I will not talk about them now, but we are going to be one of those countries that they do manufacturing of computing devices in the continent.
I look forward to that, Dr. Mosaga. There's that common fear, doctor phobia, when it comes to advancement in technology, when it comes to ICT, and now we're speaking of a different world altogether, right. The AI world, and vis-a-vis the fear of losing jobs.
Oh.
Doctor, is this a myth, or it's true that ICT AI truly is coming to replace physical man jobs?
Interesting question. I've heard a lot of people talking about that. One interesting thing of technology, especially when it's new, there's people who they like to market fear. They like to trade fear about the technology. But basically AI has come to complement expert human being so that human being can be even more productive. So we believe that AI is going to make us even more efficient in terms of service delivery, in terms of the quality of decision that we are making, in terms of the capacity of producing things of high quality and things like that. AI is a good thing. AI is going to disrupt, I'm not saying repress, disrupt some types of jobs. But we know from the history that most of the time when a disruptive technology comes to any sector, it tends first of all to erase some jobs, and after that, there's a lot of jobs that are going to be created in the same area. One example of that is telecom operators, if you can remember. During 60s, 70s, and 80s, there are people who were employed in telecommunication companies whose work was to switch phones of people.
Right.
The automation that happened in the 1990s wiped out all the jobs of telecom operators.
Wiped
out all the jobs of telecom operators who used to work in the telecommunication company, in the ships, and other places. Fast forward now, we have a lot of people who are employed in call centers. Multiple jobs they've been created in the same technology. So this is how technology works. It can affect some areas, but after that, there are a lot of innovation which are going to be created, and they will create a lot of jobs.
Looking on to Dr. Mosaga, and thank you for that response, but looking on to ICT advancement, looking on to AI, you know, and for me, I'm looking on to the younger generation, I'm looking on to the more youthful generation. You spoke about 21 million young people in Tanzania. Where are the future opportunities to as far as ICT and AI is concerned?
You know, like the way I said before, the direction that most of the countries that are going right now is the direction of digital transformation. And digital transformation has 5 pillars. And pillar number 1 is the digital skills. Pillar number 2 is digital security and trust. Number 3 is telecommunication service, digital economy, and the last one is digital research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Youth, they're supposed to be given skills, especially in the entrepreneurship side of AI, to look at how they can use AI to do their normal things that they are doing every day. So to me, as a scholar first, and also as a Director General, I look at AI as an enabling technology that will enable these 21 million youth who we are going to give them skills of AI so that they will be able to innovate around agriculture in Tanzania, around minerals of Tanzania, around fishing of Tanzania, around doing trade in e-commerce and things like that, so that Tanzania can be more competitive around the world.
You've used the words, Dr. Mosaga, youth have to be given.
Yes.
Who is to provide that knowledge, that education, that skill?
That is the function of ICT Commission. ICT Commission job is to promote ICT in our country, and in the promotion of ICT of our country, promote ICT for professional ICT, startup of ICT, region to ensure that they participate in digital economy, and also the country to be competitive in the global digital economy. So one of the work is to build awareness of Tanzanians, all Tanzanians. I'm not talking only for Tanzanian experts, but all Tanzanians to be able at least to use, to be able to adopt AI, and also to be able to innovate AI so that we can be able to capture the market of the country, of the region, and African free continental trade areas.
Let's go on a lighter note,
Right.
Dr. Mosaga. Who is Dr. Mosaga other than outside the Director General of Core ICT?
Well,
you're a father, you're a God-fearing man, I believe. You like football, you watch football.
Yeah.
Who is Moses Mosaga?
You know, I used to play in the national team of table tennis.
Table tennis, ping pong.
Ping pong.
I would like to take a challenge one of these days.
I would love
if you still play.
Well, I do play because I was playing in a competitive way, not in a leisure. So I can do play up to now.
Okay.
I was able to play even in Europe, in that level. Well, I like music. I like music very much, the jazz music and things like that. Talking with friends, I like to discuss things that has to do with geopolitics. I'm a great fan of philosophy, and I like complexity theory. That helped me to discern most of the things that are happening around the world.
Difficult stuff.
Well,
does it have to be typical ICT difficult stuff?
Not really. I like to drink wine, huh?
Okay.
Yeah. So I enjoy my life in my own way. But I'm not tired to look at the way we can create opportunity to youth. Not only of Tanzania, but youth of all around Africa. We have a lot of resources. So I see that technology is another way on how to create an opportunity for them. So I really enjoy those things, and I enjoy other things which are basically out of my my job.
You are listening to Austin Makani with What Matters, and we are looking onto the future of ICT in Tanzania, and I'm delighted and greatly honored to have this conversation with Dr. Mwasaga, who is the Director General of the ICT Commission, and looking on to Dr. going further. You did once inspire me, I really must say, and I know there are very many people out there who are looking at Dr. Mwasaga with what you do, and really, I must say and commend that you're truly an inspiration. But there are those that you aspire in the 21 million young people in Tanzania who may not necessarily know how you emerged into the ICT, other than the academia background, but you did speak with me once when you told me about your first investments in the startup.
Right.
Maybe you want to tell me, and you want to speak to our viewers again and those listening. It's on to how did you make up the decision to invest in a startup, and why?
Well, when I finished my master's in 2002, I really wanted to start as an entrepreneur. The reason why I did that, because ICT at that time was promising in our country, and I came with all the skills that I acquired for 6 years. I did my studies in Europe. I found that there's something that I can provide in the private sector. I was very lucky that I get support from the parents. So I opened a company at that time. I was creating systems, and it was doing fine. I think that was a way on preparing me to this position that I have now. Because ICT Commission, contrary to understanding of many people, is 50% government, 50% private sector. I'm supposed to be able to speak the language that private sector understands, and also to interpret the language of the private sector so that in the government side they'll be able to understand.
Right.
The main function of ICT Commission is to promote ICT. And me and you, we understand promotion means what? Promotion means to ensure that Tanzania can attract investments, Tanzania can have a conducive environment where startups of the youth can be able to grow, and also they can cross the boundaries of Tanzania. So I think the investment that I did at that time, it was like a launching pad where I can learn things and understand what startups are going through in this country, so that in this vantage point that I have, I'll be able to create conducive environment so that startup will grow. For instance, last year, ICT Commission, for the first time, they took 10 startups to Algeria.
Okay.
So that they'll be able to demonstrate their innovation, so that they'll be able to collaborate with other startups around Africa, so that they will be able to see how the world market is. What I'm thinking is, I'm looking forward to take as more startups as possible. I put myself a target of 200 startups so that I can give them the international exposure. Out of those 200, I know I can have like 30 or 25 that they will do fine. These are the things that I learned when I had my company. So I don't want other people to face the same difficulty that I did.
Excellent. Doctor, we are coming almost close to the end of the podcast, but allow me a couple of other few questions. Lighter notes, Doctor. If you're to invite 3 people for coffee, dead or alive, those people could be dead, the ones who've gone before us, or those alive, who would they be and why?
That's a very interesting question. Well, like the way I told you, I'm the person that I love to read so much. I read a lot of people. There's many people that I really admire them by reading. For example, Aristotle.
You would want to have coffee with Aristotle.
Yes,
excellent.
If it's possible.
Wow. Okay, that's $1 million question. Everything is possible. Yeah. There you are.
I'll enjoy very much discussing things with him, because maybe I'll give you a reason why
I would be keen to know.
Because he's the one that invented logic, and logic is the one that have created all this field of computer that we have now. So I think. And I think you know that he was even before Jesus' time. It's a long time ago. So they were able to create all this, the field that has create a million opportunities that we have right now in the world.
When you say logic, and this is for my sake and my viewers and listeners' sake, do you want to expand on that? How does one invent logic?
Branch of mathematics, which has stood in a test of time. That is the basis of all the circuits that are built in computer, because they are logical circuits. So basically, he's the one that invented computer.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really admire that during that time he created something that more than 2,000 years after is creating all this opportunity that we have right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Aristotle is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Mwalimu Nyerere. I really admire him because of of ideology that he has been able to create, the nation that is be able to create right now, and the contribution of Tanzania that we have in the continent and around the world.
Right.
We have our own ideology, and that's what I believe that is a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, well, my dad.
Bless him.
He passed away, but I really miss him.
Bless him. I was hopping on the list from the ICT. The next would have been jobs, maybe. but it's fine.
Yeah, I admire him, but if you give me like a 5 people, then
maybe would have popped in.
Maybe would have popped in.
All right,
but
jobs.
what I believe is there are still jobs who are going to be created in Africa. One thing that I know as an expert is AI has come to level the whole field of AI, of computing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to have new Steve Jobs coming out from Africa. And I think it's a high time that innovation needs to come from this side. Because if you look at the side of supercomputer around the world, in the Western world, it looks like they've run out of new ideas. So we believe that the new ideas of systems of AI, they have to look at side of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the culture, the continent that is rich on culture is Africa. So I strongly believe that there are new innovators who are going to come to this side, and I'm so excited to start to see things of that sort. This week I met with one gentleman from America, but his origin is Nigeria, and he told me that he has created an AI startup that have an AI system that enable to identify some of the cancer diseases that are facing human beings.
Wow.
But he did told me one thing, that the AI has created doesn't understand Kiswahili. It doesn't understand the context of Kiswahili. So I strongly believe that the computing has reached a point where there's a lot of capability, but the new innovation is going to come in the area of computing and culture.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Doctor, in the same context, the Director General of the Africa Development Bank, mm-hmm. Dr. Adesanya, says, the next millionaires are going to come from Africa, and they're going to come from the agriculture sector.
That's very true.
Do you want to refute that in relation to the advancement of ICT and AI? Maybe the next billionaires are going to come from that sector.
It's true, because we understand one thing. The world now is faced with 2 major problems. One is food security, another one is cyber security. Now, when it comes to agriculture, the agriculture ecosystem has not been digitalized completely, mm-hmm. right? Because many people, when they talk about agriculture, they look at the actual farmer. But the agriculture has a value chain.
Yeah, it's broad.
Yes. And the value chain in Africa, they have not been digitized properly. So truly, the new millionaires are going to come from agriculture.
Okay.
Because agriculture, even in the case of Tanzania, employ around 70% of the people. So it's a high time to create the market for that, create system for that, to create different digital systems that are able to make agriculture be successful, like e-commerce for agriculture and other things. So I totally agree with him. That's where new millionaires.
Excellent. At least I thought you would say they come from the AI and ICT. Doctor, you did mention more than 2 or 3 times in our conversation that you love reading books.
Yes, very much.
Which is your favorite book, and what lessons should we draw from it?
There are many.
One top. The one that you would recommend anyone.
I have around 2,000 books.
Wow. I have a library, but I'm not that close.
I like to read memoirs
and
autobiography. So there are a number of them that I really enjoy reading. But the one that I really like is the book of Walter Sisulu.
Walter Sisulu.
Yes, Sisulu, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I like that book is it demonstrated about the struggle to liberate South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that struggle very well, and if you take out the characters, that struggle shows what we are supposed to do to liberate ourselves technologically. The new frontier that we have now to liberate ourselves is digital liberation.
Mm-hmm.
To liberate ourselves so that we can be independent when it comes to digital system. So I look at the new frontier that I have, me, other youth and people like me, is to ensure that Africa will be innovating and creating systems that primarily serve the market of Africa and also to compete to other places.
Interesting. And Doctor, if as a director now you've been given a blank check,
right?
A blank check, put up any figure you want, where would you put that investment onto?
Technology.
Specifically?
Digital technology, especially the issue that has to do with digital transformation. As a country, we have done so much in digitization, which is a step number 1. That has to do with transforming all the paper documents that we have to digital form, and we have created a system very nicely. Now we are we are in stage number 2, which is called digitalization. The roots of that word is digital. In the digitalization, the process is to make sure that all the systems that we have, they talk to each other, and everybody who is living in Tanzania has digital identity number. Once we pass that stage, that's where we start to enjoy what is called digital transformation. And once we reach there, that's where we're going to start to enjoy AI, blockchain, Internet of Things, big data analytics, and things like that.
Wow. ICT, great stuff.
Thank you very much.
My very final, Dr. Mosaga, what is your favorite quotation?
Well, my favorite quotation is Mwalimu quotation, written, of course, in Kiswahili. I don't know how to translate in English, but he says, "Umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu." What he was saying,
united we stand,
yes.
Separated we are weak or we fall.
Exactly. In digital economy, that is needed so much. We need to unite so that we create bigger markets, so that we can be even more stronger. That's why we are talking about regional economy now, or continental economies.
The future of ICT, AI, is brighter in Tanzania. Looking on to its youthful number, 21 million young people in Tanzania, the opportunities are there. All that you need to do is attach yourself into this world, explore, spend more time learning on ICT, spend more time learning on AI.
That's correct.
Get to interact. There are many exhibitions that the ICT Commission does organize for especially for the young people, women. There's so many opportunities, and this is the direction we're gonna go. So the future is bright, but only for those who prepare for it. I'm your host, Austin Makani. Dr. Mosaga, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is Austin Makani with What Matters podcast. Stay tuned to the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.